heading out to visit Sue's family in LA. Yeah, I lost my best friends today. I'll think about them each and every day. 911, no one can believe.
Hello, everybody. This is Sweetie, the station mascot. Actually, Matt Fletcher's dog. And he'll be sitting in on this interview. It's a little more serious than our usual interview. Like most of you, I woke up on Monday morning to hear that Osama bin Laden had been shot in Pakistan, and brought back a whole flood of memories of that day, 9/11, 2001, as it did for most of you. Here in Maine, of course, there were many people who were personally touched by this tragedy, and one of them was Chris Clark, who is one of our directors on our board here at Saco River Community Television as a representative from the town of Standish. He's originally from Connecticut, and Chris, at this point, I'll let you talk about your friend and his wife and their little girl, and what happened on that day, 9/11, 10 years ago.
My friend Peter Hansen, his wife Sue Hansen, and their 2.5-year-old daughter Christine were killed on 9/11. They were on Flight 175 from Boston to California, and Christine was the youngest victim of 9/11. She was 2.5. And Pete was my best friend. He was, we'd been friends since high school for 15 plus years, and we're very tight. Went to college in Boston. He went to Northeastern. I went to Berkeley School of Music, and we just remained very close. I moved up here to Maine because he recommended that I move up here. He helped really get my life started, and I missed them a lot. So the news on Monday brought a lot of emotion to the surface.
Tell us about Pete. What was Pete like? How did you meet?
We met in school, in high school, and it was over music. Pete was a huge music fan, Grateful Dead. He collected tapes of all, so he had hundreds of tapes. And I heard about this guy who collected music, and I wanted him to make me a few tapes, so he made me a tape of The Who's final concert in Toronto in 1982. And from there, we just hit it off talking about music. I was a musician, he was a music fan. We became close friends, and then we both went up to school in Boston in 1987.
What was Boston like back then?
It was great. It was from a small Connecticut town to the city of Boston was a little bit of a shock, but we immediately immersed ourselves in the music culture in there and went to jazz clubs and saw all kinds of concerts at the old Boston Garden, and just soaked it all in. And it was a great time for both of us.
Did you guys ever do road trips to Maine?
We didn't. He spent a lot of time up here and would come up to Booth Bay and Bar Harbor and the like later on, and recommended when the rents in Boston got so high that I couldn't afford to stay there, he recommended that I move to Maine, and it was the best thing I ever did. I met my wife and started my life here. But I have him to, he helped me do that.
Now, he was from Easton. Is that where
Yes.
you hail from as well?
Yep.
And then you all went to Boston and kind of went your separate ways, but you stayed in touch.
Yeah, we did, and it was weird because the Friday before 9/11, he had been up that August, and we had a nice day. I lived in Old Orchard, and his daughter and I and Pete and Sue had a great day on the beach. I took Christine on the merry-go-round, and we had a great day. And that Friday, I felt like I needed to hang out with him that weekend, and I felt a real strong urge to do that. So I sent him an email, and I said, "What are you doing? You doing anything this weekend?" I have the email, and it was odd because I sent it to him that Friday. He didn't get it till Monday when he came back to work. He sent me a message saying, "Sorry I missed this, was busy all weekend anyway. Going to LA tomorrow with the family. Be back in a week and I will call. It'll be Christine's first visit to Disneyland." And I didn't get this email. He sent it on Monday. I did not get it till after 9/11. I got it on the Thursday, and it was a weird to get it then. Yeah, it was a weird lapse, and I don't know what could account for that. But when I got it on Thursday, it was almost like a message saying that we're okay. But it was really tough to read it at the time because I was grieving pretty heavily. But they never made it to Disneyland.
There are a few moments in people's lives that they remember. Maybe for people of an older generation, it was the Kennedy assassination. For our generation, it was 9/11, or maybe even the Challenger explosion. What were you doing that morning when you first heard that the planes had hit the towers?
Well, I hadn't known that they were going away because, like I said, I didn't have any contact with him. I tried to get in contact with him the Friday before, didn't hear from him, so I had no idea that he was, they were planning a trip to California. So I was in the other room. My girlfriend at the time, said, "Oh my God," the TV was on. I came over, and it was 9-something in the morning, and I watched as their plane hit the towers, not knowing that they were on it. Flight 175, and I remember I just broke down because it was just so horrific, and I think a lot of people did just watching that. Even if you didn't know anybody or didn't know anybody on the plane, just watching that took my breath away. I broke down and cried. I went to work that day, and I was just in a daze, as everybody was. I came home, and my father called me up crying, saying, Pete was on the plane. And I remember just saying, no. But my father had called his father and confirmed that.
Tell me about his wife.
His wife, Sue, was a beautiful person. She was, they met at Northeastern. And a lot of times we'd have good conversations. We both lost our mothers when we were kids, so we had a good connection and a bond talking about that. And we just, they were both, just wonderful people, and together they were just an amazing couple. And then when they had Christine, it was
Their little girl.
Their little girl, Christine. It was a complete family at that point. They lived in Groton, Massachusetts. At that point, they had bought the house in October of '98, and they were just a complete unit. And I was a single guy at the time, and I didn't have a family or anybody else, and I was very jealous that they had a house and a family, and they were a complete unit. And I used that as my inspiration, even after they passed, to just to move forward with my life.
Yeah, looking at your pictures, particularly of the little girl, Christine, it's heartbreaking. And she was, from what you told me, the youngest victim of 9/11.
Christine was the youngest victim of 9/11. She was 2.5, which is the same age as my daughter right now. And when you're friends with someone as long as I was with Pete, and you know him that well, you picture them in certain situations. And something that that really gets to me is just the last moments. And I don't like to think about it too much, but the last moments on the plane, he was on the phone with his father. He had called his father to tell him that the plane had been hijacked, to tell his father to call the airline or the authorities or something. And he witnessed the flight crew getting taken out. And then called his father back when things didn't look like they were going to go in the right direction. He figured that they were going to go, that they were going to die. He said that at least they were going together. And he was on the phone with his father. His father was watching the television as I was at the moment when the plane hit the building and the phone went dead. And his parents have been through a lot. But I cannot picture those last moments, just holding, maybe trying to shelter Christine. Maybe they were all holding each other. Those are the things that I think of when I heard the news on Monday about Osama bin Laden being shot. I have to say that I was happy. I didn't do any kind of happy dance or anything, but as an American, I felt proud, and I felt like there was some justice done. And anybody who thinks of that, maybe we shouldn't have killed him, or maybe, that it's not good to be happy that he's dead. I just think of the last moments of my friends' lives, and I can't be anything but happy about the outcome on Monday.
Could you talk about this flag that's in back of us?
This was a flag that his parents gave me that a gentleman, I believe it was in Connecticut, had it made, and it contains all the names of the victims of that day. And I believe it's divided up by the tower and by each flight 11, flight 175. But as you could see, the names, there's over 3,000 of them. And not only 3,000 victims of that, but also the thousands of soldiers killed in both wars.
The war in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Yeah, it just, there's been a lot of sacrifices, and the one on Monday, like I said, I was not upset that Osama bin Laden had been killed.
The last time, to the best of my recollection, that the United States tried some kind of operation akin to this was in 1980, when we had 400 hostages in Iran, and it ended disastrously. So I was really glad to hear that this one was successful.
And it's a real testament to the Navy SEALs and the job they do. And I really think that it's a little too early for me to say, Pakistan needs to answer questions, but I'm going to say that right now. They need to answer some questions.
That compound was said to have been located very near a military base.
Right.
So it does beg the question: did they know more than they're telling? And we did not coordinate with them to pull this off, because there was a very real fear that
they would tip him off.
They would tip him off.
And there's a lot of emotions around this whole thing. The 10th anniversary is coming up, so that brings up a lot of the emotion. There's a lot of mixed emotion. There's a lot of happiness and feeling of vindication, but there's also anger. There's always anger behind this whole thing, because there was a lot of sadness and anger on that day, and it just brings up a whole lot. Pete's family they've been very active in getting to the bottom of it, really, and just being very active within the 9/11 families.
Were they satisfied with the answers they were getting initially as to what happened and how?
Somewhat. I think there's just always going to be questions, but they've been through so much.
They've been through hell.
Yeah, but I think this was. I talked to his father Monday morning, and the word he used was bittersweet, because it just brings up so much. You feel relieved, but then there's the question of fear, because what's going to happen now? Are they going to retaliate? We don't know.
Well, it's been said that the fish rots from the head down. We've taken out the head. I don't know whether or not that cripples Al-Qaeda, but I'd like to think that their role in terror all over the globe is diminished because of what happened on Sunday.
And the funny thing is that this is exactly the type of thing that Pete and I would stay up all night long talking about, is we would talk about world events, politics, terrorism. I remember one of the conversations I had with him the summer before he died. He had said to me about terrorism, it may be someday when we'll know somebody who was killed by terrorists. And it was just a weird thing to say, and I just kind of shook my head, not knowing that he was exactly right.
The last time we had an event of this magnitude or anything even approaching it was Pearl Harbor, of course. And
I think the best thing to do, though, is just to think about these people and what they were like in life, rather than what happened on that day and what's going to happen after. I just think it's good to dwell on the impact that they had while they were here, and I can always learn from the lessons that he taught me as a friend, and I still to this day cherish all those times we had together, all the photos and the video that I have. I watch sometimes and it's sad, but that's it just it means that much more to me to have those. One of the photos that I took is of Christine reaching for a flag that she had grabbed in the little junk drawer in the kitchen. She was standing on a stool and she was just kind of going through a drawer. She pulled out a flag and I snapped the picture. And that picture is going to be used in the 9/11 museum at Ground Zero. And it means a lot to me to have that picture at the museum.
do you think that the parents of your friends were at Ground Zero and met with President Obama today?
I don't know if they were there or not. I haven't talked. I talked to his father Lee on Monday, but
how do you observe the anniversary of 9/11?
I usually go to New Hampshire because in the White Mountains, one of the things that we like to do is we took a trip to the White Mountains back in the late 90s with a friend, and we went on a little day hike in the presidential range. And I like to spend that day in the White Mountains, just thinking about them. That's what I did the last few years, including the first anniversary, is spend it in the woods of New Hampshire.
I think that's a healthy way to approach it. Doing things you enjoy doing together.
I don't think I could go to. I don't know if I'd go to Ground Zero. It's just a tough place to be. I think out in nature in the woods, which we both love to do, is take hikes in the woods. I think that's where I'd rather be.
Of course, getting back to nature and doing the kinds of things that you enjoyed doing when your friends were alive is important. But are there any mementos that your friends left behind that you cherish?
Yeah, actually, one of the things, one of the requests that his parents had, and I saw them just 3 days after 9/11 at a memorial back in Easton. They wanted me to take the family cat, Rocky, who was the last surviving member of the household. And I went there to the house, and it was weird because the house was set up like you would as you were going on a trip. You leave things here and there, and I had to pick the cat up, put him in a carrier, and the beloved last member of the family surviving came back to our place in Old Orchard. He's still kicking, still around. He's a very old cat, but he's very well loved. His name is Rocky. He's a snowshoe Siamese cat. And I know when he passes, he'll be going right into the arms of little Christine somewhere and in the afterlife. So, I'm very happy to be taking care of him.
You know, I wish everybody could be spared the kind of horror that you experience. I'm terribly sorry for your loss. I genuinely am.
Thanks, Pat.
I know Pete and I would love to discuss, but I lost my best friends today. I'll think about them each and every day. I lost my best friend